Welcome into the official Jets podcast. Eric Allen here at One Jets Drive, joined by Jets GM Joe Douglas. Thanks so much for joining us inside the studio. I know your favorite spot will be the desk, but this is going to have to suffice.
Yeah, next time we have to do the desk.
All right, cool. So what's it like for you now that the draft is over and also that you guys have gotten some free agents in here as well on the eve, basically, of rookie minicamp?
Yeah, we're excited to get these guys in for a rookie minicamp and it just get them part of our process. And so now it's getting with our pro staff and going over some veterans that could be good value additions if the opportunity presents itself, and back to being dad and catching up on baseball games and lacrosse games and track meets. So that's probably the best part about it.
I love it. Fashanu from Penn State.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the way the board was unfolding before you guys were scheduled to pick at 10?
Yeah, so it was a very unique group of offensive linemen and offensive playmakers in general. And so as we are going through the night, the early stages of round one, it was pretty apparent, everyone there wasn't a lot of movement going on. There was predicted to be a lot of trades.
Right.
It didn't happen. Everyone made a decision to stick and make their pick. And so when it got to us at 10, we even before that, 8, 9, the phone's just ringing off the hook. And so a lot of different opportunities were thrown our way, and we knew the direction we were going to go in. And then we decided to make that one move back, to the one spot move back with Minnesota, pick up some extra draft capital, and we had good intel that it was not going to be our guy, most likely quarterback. So,
right.
So they ended up.
I know you're
JJ.
prepared for every scenario, but people externally were not thinking Atlanta's taking a quarterback after signing Kirk Cousins in free agency.
Yeah, no.
What's going on there with you guys when that happens?
Yeah, it didn't affect our board, but at the same time, it just was an interesting moment in the draft because, in discussions with them leading up to the pick, they had made the decision they're staying and they're picking their player, and so I was just excited to see who this player is going to be because everybody had mocked out a defensive lineman,
right?
So obviously, quarterback, like I've said, like we all say, is the most important position in all of sports, and so they locked into their guy and got him.
If I had told you before the offseason began that you guys would acquire John Simpson, Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, and Fashanu, what would you have thought?
Elated, that was we had the goal in mind. Number one priority is we've got to fix this offensive line. We've got to get this offensive line in a good place, and with the good young core pieces we have, add to it, really fortify the group. And the way things fell in free agency in the offseason and then with Olu, it's a little bit of a dream come true, really.
You're a guy who played the position. What are his most outstanding traits?
I love his consistency. He is a consistent player. He is a ultra productive pass protector.
Yeah.
He in a lot of ways, Sauce was a guy who never got beat, and Olu's a guy that never, if ever, gets beat. Low pressure rates, no sacks given up, like just a very plug and play pass protector, and just wired the right way. Just a quiet, competitive, consistent young man. Loves ball, raised the right way. I loved spending time with his parents when they came up here. You could tell he's made of the right stuff.
How long was that wait for you on night 2? Because I know you had circled Malachi Corley.
Yeah, That was a long one. You know, we started getting active there in the middle of the 40s, around pick 45, and started making calls, seeing if we could maybe jump up the board a little bit. But, you know, ultimately, you know, kind of like where we were at 10, we didn't feel comfortable moving back to a certain spot. Most teams, we were getting that answer from them. Not many teams were comfortable moving back to 72 where we were at. So it was a long wait, and you're just constantly smiling and dialing. You know, you're trying to get someone to move back to 72, and you know, try to entice them to do it. And so ultimately, we were able to get that done with Carolina at 65 and get our guy.
How does he complement the guys you have in house, starting with Garrett, and of course you added Mike Williams earlier this offseason?
Yeah, you know, I feel like in our room we have kind of a different flavor. You know, almost a pick your poison type room, because you know, we all know Garrett's an elite competitor, an elite route runner, can separate on anybody, really dangerous after the catch, brings a vertical threat like he's a true dude. And then Mike Williams coming in from the Chargers, he's a ultra productive, can run by people vertically, but also is gonna big boy guys outside, go up and get the ball. As Tyrod says, I think he calls them 70-30 balls instead of 50-50, right. Maybe 80-20. Like he's a big, strong, physical outside presence. And you've got that a little bit with Alan Lazard too. And then we have an inside presence with Gibson. He brings a vertical inside slot presence. He can run by anybody. You know, Brownlee, you know, everybody loves Jason Brownlee, and he's a developing young player, and he has route skill, ball skills, and he really developed well throughout his rookie season. And now adding a guy like Malachi, who really excels with the ball in his hands. You know, with him, it's interesting because it's not always the case, but when guys are really good run after catch guys in college, it usually translates really well in the pros, because if a guy has the ability to make people miss with the ball, it's usually because he's really elusive, he's a high-level athlete, and he has a really strong element of play strength to his game. And so if they're wired the right way and they love football and they're wired to compete, like our coaches are going to turn them, they're going to use that innate physical skill that they've been given and turn that into an elite route runner. And I think you've seen that play out across the league with some of these good run after catch guys that have come out the recent years. And you know, Malachi has that in spades. He can make people miss. And the thing that really jumps off the tape, and it was said a few times by everyone who talked to him, is how angry he runs with the ball.
Right.
Like he runs with a vengeance. You know, he's not looking to run out of bounds, you know, but he also can make you miss with his feet, and he can run by you with his speed. So he brings a pretty cool element to the room.
Does it go into your decision-making on draft weekend that I know I got a good tackle class, I know I got a good receiver class, but most people thought that wide receiver class, more depth, extended, is as far as the way you're looking at it?
Yeah, it was the top clump of tackles was an elite clump of tackles.
Yeah.
But then the wideout group, you know, you had those first three guys that everyone had high in the draft, but really it was a big group of wide receivers after that, that I'm sure most teams felt could come in and help their team. And again, it was whatever flavor you wanted. If you want a big physical guy, there was a few of those. If you want somebody that brought a vertical element, and then a guy like Malachi that could run after the catch.
Speaking of flavors, how about the running back position? You pick up pair of big physical guys who aren't afraid of contact, and Allen from Wisconsin, of course, Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State.
Yeah, adding Braelon and Isaiah, it just brings legit competition to that room. And now we have 4 running backs. Brees, I don't think Brees has even turned 23 yet. So the 4 running backs between the ages of 23 and 20. And really with Braelon and Isaiah, unbelievable production from those guys. Yeah. Multiple 1,200 plus yard seasons for both of them. I think I think Isaiah has 50 rushing touchdowns, and Braelon has 35 rushing touchdowns in 3 years. So you're bringing in 85 combined rushing touchdowns. So you're getting big physical backs that have a nose for the end zone, and again are made of the right stuff. They can help you on third down. They can block. They can catch. They can play special teams. So it just adds to the competition of the room.
Did Davis play special teams at South Dakota State? Because he's getting the ball so much offensively.
His first 2 years,
yeah,
he didn't have quite as many carries, but his last 2 years, I mean, he's the offense.
Yeah, right.
He's the dude.
Yeah, those numbers were off the charts.
Yeah.
Okay, so worst kept secret in the NFL is you were going to add a developmental quarterback on day 3, right? Because you talked about emphasizing, hey, we want this to be a quarterback factory. You have a very good quarterback room of future Hall of Famer as your starting quarterback in Aaron. Then you pick up Tyrod Taylor. What attracted you guys to Jordan Travis?
Yeah, I think we got to day 3, and there was a good group of quarterbacks. You know, we were concerned that there'd be another quarterback run there in the 3rd round. So we get to day 3, and we have a group of quarterbacks that we're excited about. But really, the guy that we just didn't want to miss out on was Jordan, and thought it was a real opportunity to get someone, a dynamic weapon, an unbelievable leader, somebody that's he came out as a dual threat quarterback. You watch the tape. What jumps out is he can get out of trouble, no doubt. He's a very athletic quarterback, but to see him operate within the structure of the offense, like, he's not a guy that's just going to run around and just hold the ball. Like, he trusts his eyes. He gets the ball out quick. He has a really quick, compact delivery. You get around him. He's extremely smart. He cares. He loves the game. He's a great teammate. He's a natural leader. He has a passion for this game, and you see that, you feel that come through after you spend some time with him. So after being around him, you get to the point in the draft where it's like, you know what, we want to come out of this with Jordan. So we ultimately made a deal with after moving back a few times in the 4th,
right?
We decided to move up from the bottom of the 5th and really lock in Jordan.
I can't imagine a better situation for a young quarterback, especially a guy coming off an injury. From afar, everybody felt bad for Travis last year because he didn't have a chance to ultimately compete in the national semifinals, but he comes in here and Rodgers is in the room. Yeah. And Tyrod is in the room.
What a great situation. I mean, it's a lot like what Olu's going to come into in terms of being with 2 guys like Tyron and Morgan. Jordan can come in here and, there's a Hall of Fame quarterback and then one of the best people on the planet in Tyrod Taylor. And so you with over 30 years of NFL experience. Right. And so you can just be a sponge. You can just be both. You can be a shadow to both of them and just take in everything that they're willing to give, and it's going to be a really good situation for him.
So you go defense with your final 2 picks, Qwan'tez, Stiggers, and also Jalen Key. What can you say about both of those guys and their individual stories? It's interesting now. Key's going to be Mr. Irrelevant the rest of his life, and wow, Stiggers from afar, you learn about him.
Yeah,
you can't help but say, hey, we're rooting for him.
Those are two cool stories, and they're each their own story. But I think combined is the moral of the story is persistence pays off.
Yeah.
And so in their own way, with Qwan'tez and having the opportunity to go to Lane and then losing his father in a tragic accident, having to support the family, but never giving up hope, right? Never doubting himself, and having the persistence to keep going through it, keep doing what you love to do, even though the odds are stacked against you. And just what a crazy route to get here, going from Lane to, working to support his family, to fan-controlled football, to Toronto Argonauts, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, having 4 interceptions, and now drafted into the National Football League. I mean, it's a really cool story, and another young man that had the opportunity to come up here, and obviously left a strong impression with everybody.
Well, how did it work for him specifically from you guys, your perspective, a scouting perspective? Because are the pro guys looking at him during the year because he's playing in the CFL? And then I think in January, the league says that he's going to be draft eligible.
Yeah. So our pro guys are watching him, and they're taking note of, like, here's a very young player that's producing and was just voted defensive rookie of the year. And then we get the memo from the league that, hey, this is a draft eligible player. And so then it transitions into our college scouts, and really he goes to the East-West All-Star game in Dallas, in Frisco this year. And that's when it really started coming to life. And when he came down and he was amongst the pool of the other All-Star players, and then you spent time in the initial time with them, and then taking him through the processes. He wasn't invited to the combine, so going to his pro day, having him come here, spending time with our trainers, our media team, our docs and equipment guys, and so I think he left a pretty cool impression with everyone that he got to meet.
No doubt about it. What was it like that moment in the room when you guys made the call?
It got emotional.
Yeah?
I mean, Brick started it off, and he was he was so fired up to Adam, and we got Mastrodi involved in that one, because everyone has their guys that they're excited about, right? That have left a mark, and so it's like Bobby was really reluctant to jump in there. I was like, Bobby, you got to do it. Like this is one of the guys you're excited about. So reluctantly he jumped in there, and that was a pretty cool moment.
So real quickly about East-West, I mean, the CFL, that's a different game now. You got 12 players, you got 3 downs, and you got, I think, 4 players that can be in motion either laterally or coming at you. So he had to show that he could play some press there.
Absolutely. There's a lot of moving targets, and they're all moving in different directions, and there's a lot of space to cover. And I mean, the end zone's huge, so he's coming to, it may be a little bit easier for him, in terms of the space he has to cover, and there's going to be more stationary targets for him to lock onto before the ball snapped.
How about Key? He was in his garage, I think, while his family was taken in the draft. Maybe he was getting nervous, thinking that free agency was on the way, but you guys made him the last pick of the draft.
Yeah, that was another one where, him transferring from UAB to Alabama and, really accepting that challenge, because when he transferred, Coach Saban promised him nothing. He had to earn everything, and he did. He earned the starting spot, and for someone to come in and earn that role in Coach Saban's secondary, which Coach Saban's notoriously tough on those guys. They have to have a certain mindset, mental horsepower, mentality for him to come in a year and take that job. That says a lot. And so again, it speaks to his persistence as well. And so just you're getting a smart guy, you're getting a highly competitive guy, and another guy that Marquand was excited to add throughout the process.
And he played a lot of positions at 2 different schools, but you guys are starting him at safety, right?
Safety.
Okay,
safety. And
then also with Stiggers, he figures to get in a mix, probably backing up Michael Carter II at the nickel spot.
Yeah, I think for him, he brings a lot of versatility as well. He can play outside, he can play inside, and so I'm sure if you asked him, he'd be willing to play any spot on the defense. So we're excited to get him on the grass this weekend.
All right, big picture thoughts. What does it say about the National Football League that 14 offensive players went consecutively to start the draft?
Yeah, I just think it varies year to year.
Okay.
I think our draft where we took Sauce and Garrett, I think the first 4 picks were defense that year. But yeah, this was a record for offensive players, and it's an offensive league, and so everyone's trying to either protect the quarterback or give the quarterback weapons to use. But on the flip side, it's also important to find guys that can get the quarterback down and take the ball away from the quarterback as well. So I think it's part of it's just kind of how the draft fell and what was the strength of the draft. And the strength of the draft, the real strength of the draft this year was playmakers and O-line.
what's up with the trades? 6-all draft weekend from Joe Douglas. 2 up, 4 down. I mean, you like playing poker? I guess we can't because we're in the National Football League. But first off, when you move back 4 times, that means what? That you have targeted a number of players that are probably going to be in that range, right?
I think if we would have gotten to Saturday and there was a very small group of players that we were excited about, you would have seen us stay at those 3 picks at 4 and pick. But I think when we had the group together before the draft started all Saturday, and we highlighted a pretty big pool of players that we thought could come in here, our type of person, our type of player. And so when we got to our pick, they were all still there. And so we decided to start moving around the board. And so, but then eventually we got to the point where it's like, okay, we don't want to run the risk of missing out on guys like Jordan, guys like Braelon. Like it's time to stick and pick.
But you got a lot of guys that you guys liked and targeted beforehand. And can you talk about the value of bringing back a 3rd-round pick in that deal that you guys had with the Lions?
Yeah, that was that was unique. I mean, because just a few minutes before, Miami had done a trade with Philadelphia where it was a 4th-round pick for next year's 3.
Right.
And a few minutes passed, I looked over at Nick Sabella and Dave Sosi on our football admin team. I was like, man, I wish someone would call and offer us something like that. And lo and behold, about 5 minutes later, Detroit calls, and they made a similar offer. And again, if you have a guy that you're excited to get, be aggressive and go get him. And so that's what Detroit did. They highlighted their guy, they made an aggressive offer, and they went up and got their guy. And in return, we feel like that 3rd-round pick has legitimate value for us next year. And you'd like to think with that pick, you can locate a starter to help your team.
You're setting yourself up for more flexibility in 25 already, because you have 2 3s and 2 6s.
That's right.
And people were asking me about the Reddick deal. That's a conditional 3 in 26.
That's a conditional 3 in 26 that goes up based on production this year.
Yeah. And Reddick, once he came in on the John Franklin Myers front, as far as financially, it's hard to keep everybody in-house. But also, can you speak to the fact that, hey, there's some other guys here like the Will McDonalds of the world who you guys are going to get more reps. He's going to be on the field a little bit more.
I think the thinking with that is because we didn't have Haason, we didn't think that was ever going to come to fruition.
Right.
But when it did materialize, and it was a real opportunity to say, hey, now we have Haason Reddick, who's one of the most productive pass rushers over the last 5 years. I think 50 sacks.
Yep.
So adding a guy that's one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League next to Jermaine Johnson, and someone we feel is going to take that next step, similar to Jermaine last year with Will McDonald. So now we could have 3 just elite blazers off the edge, guys that can really, really disrupt the edges. And again, you can't. It's an unfortunate part of the business when you can't take care of everybody. And so it was a really great process, a difficult process for many reasons, but it was great in the fact that there was a lot of communication with JFM leading up to the trade, and Cliff Brady, his agent, and just open dialogue in terms of getting something that made sense for us, but also makes sense for JFM. And
this is a hell of a story, though, if you really think about it. You grabbed him off of waivers in 2019.
Yeah, so picking him up off of waivers in 2019, we picked up him, and our 2 big acquisitions at the cut down in 19 were him and Braxton Berrios. And JFM, just to watch him come in, and I said it in the presser, like the only thing we knew about JFM was he's a talented guy that had a sack in the Super Bowl. He sacked Tom Brady in the Super Bowl when the Rams played the the Patriots the year before. And so, all right, this guy's been in a big moment. He had a sack. And so just watching him develop as a professional, getting to know him as a man, watching him develop as a father, and watching his family grow. And, he really was a truly great addition, not only on the field, but off the field. Just a great man. So, when you have to make a decision like that, it's really hard. It's tough, because you hate to lose good people. But this is something that we just felt was the right thing to do for the team, and we had to do it, and we're excited about the rushers that we have.
Yeah.
And, we feel like we have some young guys that can step up,
Right.
and kind of take that ambassador of violence role that JFM had for a few years here. And, talk about a guy like Michael Clemens, who this is year 3 for Mike. And, he's developed it. He's gotten better his first 2 years here. And it's a great opportunity for him to kind of take that baton from JFM and really be the enforcer on our defense.
It's interesting what you just said about Reddick. We all know he's a great finisher. You didn't think there was any chance, like if somebody told you in January you're going to get Reddick next year.
Yeah,
like that's probably extremely unlikely. That sounds good.
No, I honestly, it goes back to your earlier question. If someone said, "Hey, you're going to have an opportunity to get Mike Williams, Tyron Morgan, trade for Morgan Moses, and get Haason
right
before the draft starts," I would probably told you you're crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I probably would have.
So I got two final ones for you. Rookie minicamp this weekend. Give me some quick thoughts on Michigan edge Braden McGregor.
Yeah, so he obviously national champion, and he's a big physical enforcer DN, similar to the JFM, big Mike Clemens, big man, powerful, was one of the top players left when we started free agency. And so, we're excited to add that, and hopefully you can bring that championship mindset to our team.
Miami defensive tackle Leonard Taylor.
Yeah, he is a supremely talented guy. Big man, really athletic, can jump off the ball. He can penetrate gaps. He's going to be a really good fit scheme-wise for what Brick and Aaron want to do up front. And he's got a unique opportunity to join a really good room with some great dudes and just be their shadow.
How about West Point's Jimmy Choo Choo Charlo?
Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah. So Jimmy came to our local pro day, and it didn't take long watching the guys go through linebacker drills. Like, okay, look at this guy. Really good feet, sudden, all motor, just all motor, run around the field, just flying around, he can run. And so you watch a little tape and like, okay, this guy can play, undersized linebacker, kind of what we like. He plays fast. He plays furious. Like his feet. He's got some ability in space. He can help out on special teams. So, and he's an Army guy, and so anytime we can get a good player that's made of the right stuff, that's Jimmy, and getting him in my office and spending some time with him, and I told him, like, I got a new nickname for you, bud. It's Jimmy Choo Choo Train. You're Jimmy Chooch. So I'm excited to add Jimmy Chooch.
Not only have you added a lot of guys who are productive on the football field, they kill it in the weight room. Like, this is the guy, Jimmy, 34 reps, 225. We go back to Malachi. I think he's 27 reps, 225. And then how about the deadlifts of Volu? Like 700 pounds 3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys like working, don't they?
Adding a little muscle.
Yeah.
To the group. And I mean, geez, like Braelon Allen, you seen some pictures of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a freak. I'd never wear a shirt if I was cut like him. He's like cut out of granite. Like he's an impressive specimen.
You're funny. Appreciate your time as always. This was fun, and you got to be excited just for what's ahead as far as roster construction. You'll tell me you never put a period at the end of the sentence, so you're always looking.
No.
But you guys have definitely done some furniture moving here this offseason.
Yeah. Well, we had a plan, and with the help of some great teammates, the pro scouts, college scouts, salary cap, analytics, everybody, video, equipment, training room doctors, we were able to keep the main thing. We avoided some distractions, left ourselves open for some opportunities if they presented themselves. But, it's a lot of hard work from a lot of great teammates. Went into an off season where, again, feel like we were able to just keep it simple and stay on track.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, E.